And bam, we're live. Welcome, folks. Be rolling here in a minute. JL, welcome. All right, my man. Good to see you. Hey, before I get started, tell me, everything go smooth? Of course. All right. Isn't that the way it goes? All right. Well, you'll keep us up to date tomorrow then, right? Or is this now getting pushed till Friday? Yeah. Fair enough. Hey, that's how it goes. All right. Well, I'll keep checking with you. You let me know. All right. Well, you're here early, which is awesome. So I'm gonna run through. I'm gonna talk about okay, tomorrow and then go for Friday. Yeah, that'd be nice to have it wrapped up for the week. So, all right, cool. I'll be excited to hear how that plays out. We are gonna I'm gonna take a couple minutes and I'll share my thoughts on how to handle homeowner conflict. um and this applies if for those of you in relationships like yourself, Jan, or anyone else, if you have a spouse, siblings, kids, family, neighbors. I know that it took me a long time to learn how to handle conflict because I'm a very I listen directly, I hear direct, I speak direct, and a lot of people are indirect. And so what they were saying and what I was hearing and making it mean wasn't always accurate. So I would make assumptions. And but I've also learned how to use language better. So I'm going to just share what works for me for a few minutes and we'll go from there. But I think this is some interesting stuff. So a lot of times people hear something that we say, they see something that we do, they don't have full context for it. And the way the mind works is people get triggered. Something could have happened to them 5 years ago. And all of a sudden, something you're doing triggers that memory and that response. And all of a sudden, they feel this interesting way. And it's not necessarily what you're doing in the moment, but what you're doing is triggering a past thing for them. And then that ends up playing itself out in the moment. So I've learned over the years to just take less and less personally and to seek clarity first and realize that when a lot of people are upset at me, they're generally just taking it out on me or my crew or our project or our work. The reality is somebody else pissed them off first. They had to control it. They couldn't explode on that person. And then something we did triggered them. And now they're going to explode on us. Does that make sense? So it doesn't happen a lot, but I've definitely had my fair share of people complain over the years. So I'll go through that and hopefully it sounds good. Yeah. So, and when I say complaints, everything, take it with a grain of salt. Like, I've had people call and say, Mike's not getting back to me. And then we find out they left me a voicemail 1 hour ago, like, or some people admittedly have email, like I've had clients email me and I didn't email them back the same day. And that presents a problem for a lot of people. And looking back, like in the future, that's not the way I would want to go about it. People deserve a response, especially if you're doing transacting business with them, in my opinion. So those were mainly, we never really had, that's probably what I found. It was interesting. Most people, if they did complain, it was more about my response time to getting back to them, that their anxiety and immediacy of need to be soothed and have a response, and my, in their opinion, disregard for their, I like the saying that your failure to plan does not constitute an emergency on my part. Like, and a lot of times, unfortunately, this is the way I view the world. I think that most people are their own cause of their own dilemma. They didn't plan properly. They didn't think something through. They didn't even take the time to think of the ramifications or the implications. And I can't always at default say, well, that's, I now have to jump through 7 hoops because you didn't anticipate that. Like, that's not my issue, in my opinion. And I say, but when you're being hired to transact and repair something at someone's house, they don't care about the rationale or the, how much that might make sense. They're just pissed in the moment. So anyway, let me run through this real quick, and I appreciate your patience, and then we can go from there. All right. And please, if you have any questions, let me know. And let's see what happens here. So, homeowner conflict. My experience has been that most complaints aren't about the actual thing. They're more about something called certainty, right? Homeowners fear of being ignored, overcharged, or left with chaos and problems. And if you react a certain way, you lose control. If you can lead with certain language and tonality, the way you speak, you can turn that complaint into where they have confidence in you. And often that leads to another recommendation or referral. All right. So I talk a lot about the ARI lens. That's applied relational intelligence. It's just a way of viewing the world and people. All right. So there's a difference between content and intent. So the content, somebody would say, is dust got everywhere at my house. What the person saying, what their intent is, the real message, I don't feel like you're protecting me and my house, nor do me and my house feel respected. So I'll say this again. There's the content, which is, hey man, your guys got dust all over my fucking house. Everything's a mess. The intent, what they mean to say to me is, Mike, my feelings are hurt. I'm pissed because I feel like you've disrespected me and my house. I don't feel like you're taking care of our property. Okay. So, like, you have to understand what the real thing going on is. They're saying one thing, but it's coming from what they are feeling and what they mean. All right. So, the way I use the ARI here is, it's not what you say as much as it's how you say it. You can get away with saying a lot of different things when you have proper pace, pitch, and posture. It's the way you present yourself. Comedians do this very well. They can play a role because of the way they present themselves. All right. So when if you're with a homeowner or you want to always match their intensity. If they're fired up, you want to be fired up. You don't match their anger. They can be as pissed as they want to be. That doesn't mean you have to get angry. It just means if they're like bouncing off the walls, you're excited, but you don't match anger. Because when you match their intensity, they'll relax and then you can help bring them down. If you sit there and act calm when they're all intense, they're going to feel like you don't care. You don't listen. Again, follow me. You're not matching their anger. Just because they're angry doesn't mean you get angry. But if they're animated, you're getting a little animated. All right. I think that makes sense. So, all of this to be said is you'll be interesting if you get into one of these situations, and especially if you have a spouse or a family member that you every now and then things like one's more vocal than the other. You try this sometimes. You'll be shocked at how you can help soothe the situation. All right. Um, Homeowners want certainty. So if ever a problem comes up and you happen to be on the phone with them, the best thing you can do is figure out how soon can you help get there or address it or let them know that somebody's going to be taking care of it, right? They want certainty in the moment. So, and that could simply be, we're going to call you back in a half hour and we'll let you know when we'll be able to get somebody out there. You don't have to solve it that second, but there has to be a next step that's definitive. If it's not that when the person's coming out, it's we will call you back shortly to let you know when the person's coming out. Okay. All right. So I call this the way to remember this is to think calm to fix. You stay calm, you help the homeowner get calm, and that's how you can fix the solution. And this is all by it's called de-escalating, right? It's a big thing nowadays. Um, People are realizing that you can de-escalate another person by understanding how their mind and their emotions are tied together. It's big in law enforcement nowadays, as opposed to just beating somebody up. You're like, you can de-escalate some people, unless now if somebody's on drugs in an altered state, then throw all this out the window. But a normal person in a normal frame of reference or state of mind, there is a way to de-escalate. Yes, man. Uh, yes, depending on your personality style, Jayon, and the spouse's personality style, you're 100% correct. Because typically in life, one spouse is attracted to another, and there's a difference, and it's on purpose because they bring something that we don't lack, or but that same thing that they have that we don't have, sometimes it can cause a lot of contention when it's misunderstood. I will give a personal example. My girlfriend is amazing. She gets fired up at me at certain things that I do I am slower than her. She is very quick. And in the moment, she will be agitated. The best thing that I can do is to acknowledge and say, I understand that you want to move faster. I will move faster. Arguing with her doesn't help. Now, the reality is I won't likely be able to move much faster. I'm already moving as fast as I can. She just needs to hear that I understand what she's saying, and I think that what she's saying is accurate, and I'm not telling her she's crazy. Now, the reality is I may not be able to do much about it. Does that make sense? But I allow it to be her experience. She's correct. She is faster than I am at getting certain things done, like just moving through life. She's just a little quicker. I'm more checking things out. I'm like scanning. She's just getting from point A to point B. All right. So with that being said, homeowners, this is going to happen with them too. So I always find, as long as right before if I know a homeowner's calling with a complaint, somebody's fired up about something, I'll take a minute and take a couple breaths, right? Huberman talks about this. There's other people, Joe Rogan, there's a thing called grounding, whatever. You just breathe in, take a deep breath. All right, so that you can relax for a moment, because you don't want to be tense. So that's called centering yourself. Physically, make sure your shoulders come down. All right. Then we acknowledge and we appreciate. And as soon as the homeowner yells in my ear, I'm like, you are right to call us. Thank you for telling me all this. Now, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with the issue, but I am telling them, you are right for calling us. Thank you for doing that. This is awesome. And I appreciate you telling me, because what I don't want them to do is hold it back. And then this drops their guard, because right away, never, right? You know how, just ignore them as long as you can. Yes, Justin, you're picking up on it. Because the minute, if most people are expecting this, they're expecting me to tell them that they're wrong, and they are geared up and ready for a fight. And the minute that I just say, I really appreciate you calling us. This is amazing. It just diffuses. Okay. The next thing we have to do is we label the concern. Okay, you're aware of this concept. Yes, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. I have to say to them I have to make sure that they know that I understand what they're saying. So I will say, for instance, it sounds like the dust reached the nursery and it is understandable that you are upset, right? Like, let's say that we're remodeling their living room and one of the guys messed up and maybe we were supposed to have a vent covered. Maybe one of the zip walls, somebody tore it and he didn't notice, whatever. For some reason, dust got out of the room and went into an adjacent space. Sometimes people aren't even aware that this is happening. But the homeowner looks at you guys or us and it's like, you guys are a bunch of animals, Neanderthals. Like, this is unacceptable. So, regardless of me trying to explain how this is just what happens in life, I have to say, you're absolutely right. That is insane. That's crazy. That's not how we do things here. That is not part of our proper expectations, right? Because that's what I'm doing now is giving them this thing. It's kind of called like a micro agreement. I'll say, ma'am, this is my specific next step. And then I'm letting them, I'll be like, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to have a guy come out first thing tomorrow morning and we are going to clean that entire room. And then I'll say, does that feel like something that would allow us to get back on track? Right? I have to volley over and ask them if they're accepting the offer, this micro agreement, the thing that I'm trying to do. And if they appreciate that, we're good. Like that, I can end it right there. Let me see what's happening. Eventually, yes, eventually you have to agree. And you're 100% correct. So that's why I call it like a micro agreement. I don't it is a little the notes help when you read this over. But yeah, but when you think about it, when you can do this in the moment, you could put me about anywhere in the world as long as the person's not on drugs and isn't trigger happy with like a firearm. I will stand in front of anyone and I could watch and match and mirror and I could watch and help bring them down in the moment and not solve the problem at all. Other than I acknowledge that the problem is real. I agree with them that it's fucking insane that we got dust in their kid's baby room. Whether I think it is or not, that doesn't matter. That's crazy. And then I work towards what's the common goal. If we do this, and to solve I still haven't solved the problem. I've only put out an offer to solve the problem. And most of the time, that diffuses the entire situation. Homeowner ends the call. They're perfectly happy. They sleep like a baby. The next morning, we come, we vacuum the room, we send off the duvet cover to get it dry cleaned. We come back and everybody's peachy. All right. So, like, it can happen just like that. But yeah, you're right. I'm diving into the mechanics and what's really happening in the moment. All right. So again, you have to find that root cause. And a lot of times I'll say to the homeowner, "Hey, walk me through real quick. Where did you first see this? When did you first realize that there was dust in that fucking kid's room?" Pardon my French. I don't. I'm getting a little fired up, but I am getting with the homeowner. I'm letting them know that this is a concern of mine. When did you find out that? How long has this been there? Like, this is crazy. We got to fix this. And they're like, well, we came home at 3:00 today and your guys were already gone. And we found that dust in the baby's room. It was all over the bureau and over their little things and, you know. And that's when you say, all right, here's how we're going to, I identify some sort of a solution. Is this acceptable to you, ma'am? We're going to have somebody come out first thing. And it, you know, I might have to hire a cleaning crew. They might say, I don't want your guy, Jimmy, coming back out. Jimmy's a Neanderthal. He's just going to tear it up even worse. I'll be like, you're absolutely right. All right. And I'll be like, how about this? So, like, you have to be prepared for some pushback, um, and not argue again with them. Even if I think Jimmy's like the cleanest guy on my crew, I'm not there to try to change the homeowner's mind at this point. I'm just here to diffuse the situation. All right. So, here's a couple little things, and then we're almost done. There's certain language that helps calm people. Always let customers know that when we drill counter. Yeah, exactly. It pre-framing and letting them know up front all these things, you're 100% correct. And inevitably, there's just somebody messes up something. A lot of times it's inadvertent, whatever. But yes. So here's some interesting language to use. The word but. A lot of us by default in America will say the word but a lot, and but negates everything. It's better to say and. So whenever you're speaking with the homeowner, instead of saying yeah, but, just say yes and. You're right, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And instead of saying but, just change it to and. And by gosh, you'll be shocked at how much better that whole message is received just by switching those two words. Another thing that is big I've learned over the years, you never want to say calm down. Now, Jayon, you probably already know this with a spouse. That's in the history of somebody not being calmed, never once has somebody saying calm down, calm them down. It's better to say, you are right to feel that way. I totally can. I can see why you feel the way you do. You are right to feel that way. I'm not saying that I would feel that way. I'm just telling them that they're right to feel that way because they are. That's how they feel. There's nothing wrong with that. Instead, another swap is you don't ever want to use the words we can't. Right? Now, I'm a literal guy, so to me, that's the best way to communicate. We can't do that. That doesn't work. Instead, I have to learn how to say to somebody, here's what we can do right now. Homeowner's going to say to me, Mike, I need your guy. I know your guy just left at 3 and it's 5 o'clock. I want somebody out here cleaning that place tonight by 8 o'clock. I can't say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we can't do that. I can say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, here's what we can do. I can tell you right now, I got that guy scheduled or the cleaning crew scheduled, and they're going to be out there tomorrow at 8 a.m. Here's what we can do, as opposed to saying, here's what we can't do. I'm not giving them what they want 100%, but when I say we can, I'm telling you, it just goes over much smoother. And also, this was a huge one for me. I like to say the words I'll try. And you might even catch me saying it here. I have learned over the years to say only I will. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I will. I only speak what I will do. So for an example, if I'm not certain I can get the guys out there by 8 a.m., I say, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I will contact those guys and see about the availability and find out exactly what time they can be there, as opposed to saying, I'm going to try to get them out there tomorrow at 8 a.m. Don't say I'll try. Only tell them what you will do. All right. So those are called like certainty mark. Anyway, I find that those little language shifts makes a big difference. All right. Thanks for driving in. I know that was heavy. That was a lot. There's an AI. Last thing I have is you can put this into AI if you want to have it help you. And you ask AI to be your complaint response person. You explain that how you want to take the customer from calm to fix. You're going to use the applied relational intelligence that the Remodeling Academy talks about. And you want to write a 70 to 100 word warm response to a homeowner's complaint. And what that does is it helps you figure out how you're going to say something. You use acknowledgement. Yeah, man. And you label it, you do the micro agreement, You offer the resolution options with the next step, and you always replace buts, and you avoid blame. There you go. That's everything. What are your thoughts? Men are for men. Yes, women are. Is that the men are for men, or women, Mars and Venus? Is that what you're saying? Married? Yeah. So here's what's crazy. It Some of this stuff can really make your head spin the first time you hear it. At least it did for me. I was like, when I first heard all this, I was like, you people are insane. Nobody does that. Who needs all that? That's a bunch of, I'll call it like hogwash. Like, this is insane. But I will say this, I kept having issues with the way I was communicating with some upset people because I was dismissing their feelings. Their feelings are their feelings. And the sooner that I learned how to just acknowledge their feelings and agree with them and not say that I have to accept that as my truth, right? Like, hey, that's cool. Anyway, this is just something that was hard for me. Jayon, you might have been like gifted at this since you were 5 years old, and but I struggled with this a lot. I, and I would say it probably some still to this day. Like in the moment, I've gotten much better at conflict resolution, even to the point where I've been out in public sometimes, and you're at a store and somebody's yelling at the cashier, and I can sometimes just help the situation slightly. Whatever. It's interesting, but I could never do that years ago because I would clearly think both of them are idiots. Fair enough. So, but I will say this, I feel like this is sort of a superpower to have when, especially if you I don't know anybody's dynamics, but I've been married and divorced. And I'm not saying that knowing how to do this would have corrected that. But what I am saying is I would have had many fewer disagreements in my earlier days in relationships, and I would have been able to have healthier relationships with spouses had I understood how to do this, because I dismissed many a person's feelings for a long time. And that doesn't work well for if you're trying to have a good relationship with another person. And it's because I'm a linear thinker. I thought if they feel and think certain, and if it just because if I don't, I need to tell them that that's not the way it is. That's not what they want to hear. Anyway, I think that makes sense. So other people probably understand this from birth. I didn't. Hey there, Justin. The other Justin, Mr. Goat, welcome. Yep. Good to see you here. You're busy out there lighting up all the holiday displays out in Las Vegas neighborhoods. You're going to have to put up some pictures of these houses that you're doing with your light displays. Make sure you're putting that on social media as well. Mm. All right. So, anyhow, yeah, man. Yeah, put them up. Get them up as soon as possible. There's nothing wrong with doing holiday displays before Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people like to wait till then, um, but you can always put them up. You just tell people they don't have to turn them on. All right. If I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's a funny thing. A lot of people would we did a lot of lighting displays in my area, and the dilemma becomes you can only get so many in, and everybody wants it right after Thanksgiving. And I'm just saying, if you want, sometimes you can explain to some homeowners, hey, we do an early release, an early install. And you might just offer a slight discount in the future. I don't know. You might figure out something. But some people oh, nice. So some people will start to if you when you get good at explaining it, some people will start letting you do them earlier. If they notice that they're getting something like, hey, we'll add an extra 300, we'll supply an extra 300 lights on a bush or something if you let us put them up the week early, stuff like that. Exactly. Your first year, keep going. Yep. And next year you'll be explaining, when you're doing them this year for the homeowner, explain to them how awesome that is that they're hiring you this year. And you can say next year, you guys could be on our preferred install list. And what that means is we're going to install yours the week before Thanksgiving. That way you're all ready to go and blah, blah, blah. You let them know that that's part of your preferred install package. But you already want to be priming the customer this year to let them know that they're going to be calling you back for next year. And maybe make up some sort of a brochure now or a flyer. That's awesome, Justin. Awesome. Definitely consider making some sort of a flyer that incentivizes the homeowner if they book you early for next year, that they get a little discount. Uh maybe instead of a discount, maybe you supply them with a blow up doll thing that people like. Whatever you see is popular. Maybe you'll give them like some sort of icicle thing. Where I'm going with this is, as soon as Christmas is over, or whenever the big box stores or the Targets, the Walmarts, as soon as you notice that they're discounting their lighting displays, you may want to go buy a couple things for like pennies on the dollar and store them in your warehouse. Follow me on this. And next year, you give them to the homeowners that book with you early, the ones that like sign up to have their lights installed, and they hire you, like, say, by September 30th, and they allow you to install them before Thanksgiving. Then you give them some of these things that you've purchased for pennies on the dollar. I know it's a lot to take in, and I know you're just getting started, but if you follow me, you're giving them some value and you're incentivizing them to help you with your business next year. And by planting that seed this year, I'm not saying they'll all take you up on it, but it's a good way to get some repeat business. It's just a thought, and it's just a way of being a little strategic, because you're going to be able to buy a bunch of lights, for pennies on the dollar as soon as the holiday period, you know, expires. Just a thought. So, what else is going on? Recently, I random, yeah, something like that. Exactly. Good job. You never know what you'll get. So, but it's all good. Yeah, you're doing awesome things. It's exciting to see. Hmm. And when do you start your? A few guys on here. Yeah, 100%. We'll talk for a minute about. Yes, you sent me that message. Thank you for sending that. And yes, I'm totally open to you sending that to me. And I have an idea for how we could make all this work out. We'll talk a little bit further for sure about that. Okay. Um, I have a couple ideas for how we could make that work, and I want to see what your thought is and what your goal and intention is. Okay. Very cool. You'll crush that goal. That'll be no problem. Yeah, absolutely. It's all trial and error. Yep. What do you so both Justins, Jay Allen and Mr. Go, what do you guys see right now as like the biggest challenge? Like what's if you could fix just like one thing, if like tomorrow, if you could just wake up and boom, something in your business is working much different than it's working right now. w- Cash, so you for you it's cash flow. Is that because it's taking too long to get paid from jobs, like from when you sign up the client and get through the draw periods with them? Yeah. Are you with a local bank out of your area? Okay. So, Jay Allen, if we could help you get the phone ringing more. All right. Yeah. So, all right. My first thought, Mr. Goat, for you, this is this is what I worked on. So, if you can start trying to add a couple $100 to every job that you estimate or bid, however, or propose, however whatever you call it, like maybe 10%, like 200 bucks, 2000 bucks, and see if you can incrementally make just a little bit more profit. Follow me for a minute. If you could do that for 10 jobs, that extra $200 can go into a savings account. And what'll happen is if you can, so for me, I needed to have 60,000 in the savings to help me get through payroll every 2 weeks, like all these things, right? Because yes, we all experience when homeowners are writing you checks, the bank is technically going to hold that for a day or two or even up to a week sometimes, right? Before you see that money in your account. So, what I had to yes, so I didn't have this originally. It took me time to slowly build up that reserve account. Like for you, a goal might be to try to get $2,000 into the reserve account as quick as possible. Once you hit two, get to 12. Once you hit 12, try to get to 20. And then now that 20,000 helps you kind of float through periods. Yeah, this is an operating fund. This is different than an emergency fund. What you're doing is you're adding a little bit extra profit onto every job, you know, uh, that yeah, it become exactly your working capital. And look, most of us don't start out having that. So you have to find a way to build it up. I'm only sharing the way I did it. I just started charging extra and I found that I could, believe it or not, I found that probably 8 out of 10 times I could do it. Sure, there's always a job or two where like for one reason or another I wasn't successful in getting that extra bump that I wanted. But many jobs I was able to add once I convinced myself. I was like, you know what, Mike, you're adding an extra $100 on this job. That's it. Like if you're going to do the job, you're making an extra 100 or it's an extra 1,000 or whatever. Like it's proportionate to the amount that the customer's paying you. Yes. That way, because it's going to be very hard to ever the thing that you're struggling with, we all struggle with because banks are going to hold the money. Even if you switch over to credit cards, there's still a hold on credit cards. Like unless they're handing you cash, which that's not sustainable to always run around and just get cash. Nor is it's not efficient. That's going to present problems. Yeah. So if you're getting checks, which is cool, yeah, just you'll find just build up that working capital. And then there's some we'll have to see what you guys are doing for your current marketing programs currently. I'm assuming that you already have a vehicle labeled somehow, at least with a magnet or some lettering. Yeah. So if we can make sure that our vehicles are lettered, make sure that you're at least wearing a shirt on site. And because also when you go out to stores, the grocery store during the week, whatever, have that shirt on. Yeah. Sign on the truck. And as often as possible, try to put out some little, get some of those disposable job signs. And you might want to get a couple really nice. If you do, yeah, any shirt that you're wearing for work, I would get at minimum, it should have your company name and like your website. It doesn't necessarily these days. I don't know if the phone number is that important anymore. Maybe for the difference, I might say is Jay Allen, since you're doing service work, the phone number is probably still important, but your shirt should say what you do somehow, the name of the company, like we're the best, something that you, some problem that you solve, right? And a web address and a phone number. And I would try to wear that kind of stuff out. Anyway, all of this is their touch points. A couple yard signs need to be going out, top door hangers. So just like you're doing the door hangers now, every job you land, you want to go introduce yourself to the people in that community, that street. And then having a website, having social media, doing some mailings, sending out monthly newsletter to all of your existing client database that you keep in a CRM, hopefully. If it sounds like a lot if you're not doing it currently, but once you start doing this, so we would send out a monthly newsletter. I've probably shared this with some of you before, and I always knew when the newsletter went out because our phones started ringing the next day or two. Man, how about that? That's awesome. Congratulations. Man, that's very generous. I've never I've never heard of that. Good for you. And you have a great Home Depot out there or cashier. Yeah. Oh, hey, kudos to you, Mr. Goat. Good job. That's great. um, uh, all tools. Exactly. Oh man. So I hopefully you gave him a business card, Goat, for when he gets tired of loading up bags of concrete on his own. All Milwaukee. My man. Oh, that's so funny. Mm. Yeah, that's awesome. The if like in all seriousness, if you guys really do need to get yeah, pack out, it's getting crazy. The amount of money that you can just spend now on those kits. I, I live in an area where a lot of tools get stolen off job sites. We've switched to like Rubbermaid containers and buckets. I carry a lot of tools in 5-gallon drywall buckets, and a lot of tools are just in a Rubbermaid container, and that's only because when people are peeking in windows, when they're looking in on job sites, sometimes we've had that's just been our personal experience. We've had nicer things stolen. Um, yeah. So we do engrave our stuff and spray paint it. So that's limited. Okay. Very good. So, but good. The pack out systems, they're really nice now because you can build. You don't have to build shelving in your vans. You can build the pack out system into the van if you wanted to. Now it's not as durable, right? I mean, especially like if you're trying to haul concrete, but bag falls up against a plastic pack out, it's going to crush it. But whereas like if you make metal shelving or have heavy duty 3/4 inch ply shelving, that's going to hold up a lot better. But anyway, you know. Yep, and the mobile, yeah. So they definitely have nice setups. I think it depends on how you run your business. Some guys don't haul materials in the van, some guys do. You know, all that can make a difference. But on a serious note, if you guys really do need assistance with your advertising, and especially in regards to, yes, Klein makes some really nice tools, and they make the really nice toolboxes. They really do. You should reach out to me at some point. We help a couple people with their social media campaigns. There's a lot to you making your ads on Facebook and Instagram work. And there's a process where you can get it to where you literally just, you turn the ads on, you turn them off when you want more calls. And it can, in a sense, be that easy. So, yeah, so one day when look, one day when your head's clear, or whatever, reach out, we could set something up and I can give you an example, but understand that, you want to have a good foundation, because I know I can get you more phone calls. What we don't want to have happen is where you can't handle the phone calls, or you're not, you want to make sure that you're in a place where you're able to respond to the people. And that's unfortunately what I've found happen. What we have to do a lot of times is we can only run the ads for like a week or so. Then you're going to deal with an influx of calls. We turn the ad off or throttle it back. That way you can sift through those leads, weed out the ones, book the appointments, sell the jobs, be working the jobs, and slowly have a few more come in. Yeah, I mean, if you're able to manage people, then we just get the system. It's like a light switch. You just start turning it on. It takes a little bit of time to get the algorithm set up. We have to run a couple different ads to see what people in your area specifically will respond to. But after that initial period where we just try a couple things, you start figuring out what works, and then it's just a matter of making micro adjustments as you go. So anyhow, what I want to say is don't ever feel like it's hopeless. Um, it's not at all. It just involves a little bit of a process. We have one guy right now. He does these floor coatings, and we turn him on. He books a bunch of jobs. We have to turn it off because he's sifting through all the leads. He needs to grow, and he's struggling to get out of his own way. So that's why we do this with him. They're on. He gets a bunch of leads. He sells the jobs. Then we have to turn it off because he has to go produce all that work. And then a couple weeks later, he's through, and now he's ready to get some more leads and go out and do it all over again. In a perfect world, he'd hire another crew and a project manager, and then he could just keep doing it like this. but he's we all have our challenges. Not everyone struggles in some area in their business. And for right now, he's struggling with letting go of the control and hiring a few more people. So, yeah, um, anyhow, what else is happening? So we have to figure out cash flow and leads. Those are big issues. All right. You can get explain Jay, when you say, yeah, exactly the process. Yeah. So the what I've learned, and I had to go through this myself. You put an ad out, and a lot of people think problem solved. Not so much. Yes, finding the right people. There's a lot that these algorithms are doing behind the scenes, and it takes them a little while to have uh, that get that solved. And there's a learning curve that you have to go through with the algorithm. Yeah, well, and go not even so much us or you. If you think about it like this, these AI a lot of Facebook, Instagram, Meta, whatever, they're using AI to do a lot of work, and it takes a while to train the system for what you want and what's going to work best. Now, the beauty is once you have successfully started finding the proper clients and you're like, Mike, these ads are perfect. Each person who's calling, for the most part, the people that are calling me are exactly the type of customer that I want to deal with. Then you let the meta universe take over, where it just keeps finding you more of that type of person. The struggle that most people go through is the first few times you run an ad, it doesn't know who your perfect client is. So it's bringing you all different types of people, and you'll be like, this is horrible. These leads suck. And then the worst thing to do is to start a campaign and then cancel it and say it didn't work. The problem was it needs more time to sift through to work. And yes, in the beginning, it's not going to be 100% the way you want. I'm not a computer. Yeah. And listen, you don't have to be Mr. Goat. I mean, sure, any knowledge that you pick up over time, but you're young, you got plenty of time. I wouldn't sweat it. And here's the thing. If the computer guy had your construction skills, he would be doing the construction himself. Like, we all have our lane that we operate in, you know? So, yeah. You just have to find the right people to offset and partner with. Right? You have to find the people that understand your business and your type of clients. Yeah, good. Yeah. And once you make those connections, man, a bunch of the things you're saying, I didn't realize. So go, just so you understand, you probably already know this. TikTok uh, bans or hides a lot of comments. I didn't even recognize that it was doing it to a bunch of yours. So you'll put a comment in and I can't see it. And then every now and then I notice that something's being banned. I have to go in and approve it. So please forgive me. Several of the things you said, they weren't letting you, TikTok didn't like it. Let's just say that. So yeah, help me understand your credit. Is that who you use for is that back from when you were talking about your banking? When you say credit union? Yeah, no, it's not that, man. But thank you for saying that. But no, I'm telling you, the algorithm, TikTok is very finicky, and it doesn't understand context. So it only knows how to flag certain words. Yeah, and it's very sensitive. And well, no, good point, Jay Allen. What Yeah, so what happens is it takes a little while to work through the algorithm to get you, but you'll get there. It just takes some time. Um, you have to. They're like it's growing pains. You have to be willing to put some time, energy, effort, and patience into going through that process. I will say that once you get through it, it gets kind of crazy how well it works. These algorithms, uh, as much as people don't want to admit to it, it's very easy to find similar people based off of their online habits and patterns. Yeah, it can for sure, Jay Allen. Yeah. It's just it's like anything. There's one step. You don't have, I don't know it all, right? I just have to find people that are a step or two ahead of me in certain areas. Just like you guys, you just have, you don't need to understand all the advertising nuances. You just need to understand, hey, is somebody going to help me find clients that work for my business? Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully you guys both have Google profiles set up. Um, and again, just a basic website really goes a long way. Yeah. Because what ends up happening is you want to, all these, if you're going to do marketing online, and even believe it or, I mean, again, if you just go outside and general public, people, referrals to an extent, but the average person, when they get referred to your company, they're going to look you up online first. So you just need a way to kind of tell a little bit of a story, give them a little sense of what you do. And it helps the algorithms as well. So all fun stuff. Oh, that's awesome. That's real good. Yeah, it's not that. Everybody's on their Jay Allen, everybody starts somewhere. I mean, everybody's on their path. And everything's perspective, and there's you're light years ahead of somebody else in some other area. You know. Yeah, thank you, Goat. No, you guys are out there making it happen. That's what's awesome. I like watching people win. I don't know. I'd rather be around people that are doing stuff as opposed to just talking about it. I can't tell you over the years how many people have like come to me and like, I'm going to start a business. I want your advice. Help me do this. Help me do that. And they come and they have these grand plans and they don't do anything. They never start the business. And it's a time waste. It's like, man, like I'd much rather be talking with people that are out trying. We're all doing the same thing. We're all just doing what we can to see where it gets us. Yeah, man. Take care. Yes. Yes. That's correct. Go. Thank you. But yeah, Jan, you're right where you need to be, You just and whatever direction you want to run your business is perfect for you. I work with people that I've found over the years two things happen. Some people want to have a bigger team so that they can do less of certain thing and learn a new skill. And other people just want the business to be more profitable and less chaos and less headaches, right? And so maybe not have to do a ton more in volume, but they want to see more profit out of the volume that they're currently doing. So you're refining in one way or another. That's all, you know. You don't you don't have to have 10 crews. You might have 2 crews as long as they're top notch. You know, you could be more profitable. Some guys, a lot of people mistake growth for more money. And a lot of times it just becomes more headaches and problems. So, yeah. Yeah, Jayon, is there anything that you're seeing that we don't ever go over in these lives that would be helpful for your business? You know, is there anything I should look at tweaking or altering or changing? All right, thank you. Okay. Very good. So we'll just keep fumbling through it one day at a time. So let's see. So got 20 days left in this series. Tomorrow is gonna be or 19. Tomorrow's day, yeah, 20 days. Tomorrow's day 81. This is a good one. How to exit the job so that everybody feels good, you and the client. And again, for right now where you're at, this probably isn't as important because my experience, like work that you're doing and the way you handle your clients, if you're in and out in a couple of days, they still love you most likely. Um, so, but just to be in again, it's a little bit of headspace and how to talk with the homeowner and how to exit the job so that everybody feels great. It's all the little things, man. It really is. Yeah. So, yeah, so we have 3 more days. We have 81, 82, 83 in this pillar. This is called pillar 5 of the business. It's pillar 5 is the client journey. It's managing the experience for the homeowner from start to finish, which is a huge component, right? And then in on day 84 we switch over. All right, so look, this might be interesting for you. We're going to switch in. So at the end of we're ending the year talk, or at least this season, we're talking about marketing and advertising. And I'll get into a lot about it's more than just making an ad. It's understanding who you're targeting. Like for you, a good exercise, you've probably already done it, but if you haven't, somewhere you should write down on a piece of paper who your ideal client is. Like of all the you look over the last year, let's say you've done 3 jobs a week, you've done like 48 weeks of work per se. So we'll just call it 50 times 3. You've had 150 clients, let's say. At this point, you should be able to run down that list of every customer and see some commonality. Like what's the age, the demographic, what type of work do some of them do if you collect that data when you're talking with them. You get a sense for how much money people are earning based off as best you can based off of the neighborhoods that they live in, right? Typically, people will buy into the neighborhood that they can afford. Some people underspend. Some people are on trust funds, so whatever. But on by and large, most people will put themselves in the nicest neighborhood that they can afford. So anyway, you start understanding the demographics. I say all that because we want that demographic information, the age, income, level of education, types of careers that these extracurricular activities that the homeowners do. All that data we have to take, and that's what we put into these algorithms when we're trying to market your services online. So it might sound like a lot right now, but understand that's the method behind the madness to how we can make your, or you can make anyone, if whoever you're working with to do your online ads, if they're not asking you to describe your client, your ideal client, your client avatar, then I wouldn't be spending much more money because they don't get it. This is that extra, the rub. This is where it really, you get the real results, is what I'm saying. You have to understand this component. So anyway, we'll be getting into that towards so tomorrow's, over the weekend, next week. All right. And I'll teach you how, if you haven't done the client, have you ever heard of the term client avatar? Have you ever done that? Has anyone had you walk through in your business building days, like setting up your LLC or whatever? Have you done an exercise like that where you've come up with the ideal customer and described them? Okay. All right. Well then, yeah. So don't worry. You can, don't worry about. I'll walk you through all that on day. Looks like day 85. Uh, we do the client avatar. So all good things. All this just gives you that little bit extra. It's no big deal. All right. Anything else I can want to. Oh, would you I have one tomorrow. Would you be interested? Would you like to do the one tomorrow? Hold on. Thank you for reminding me. Let me pull up the calendar. Okay. Okay. I will send you an email with an invite. It's going to be, and please forgive me. I know that timing is not ideal for some of the schedules right now. 3:45 East Coast time. Yeah, man. Can you hear here? It's crazy. It's raining. I have a tin, a metal roof on this building, and I don't know how loud, if you can hear it, but we're getting crushed right now with the storm. Yeah. All right. So tomorrow, 3:45 East Coast time, I'll send you the Zoom link, and yeah, we'll go from there. Yeah, you're getting pounded with storm. Yeah. Where where I'm at, we don't get terrible hailstorms because I'm closer to the city. Whereas if I was like 5 or 10 miles out, we might get like really bad hail. I'm a little I have my neighbor has a big garage, and it blocks a lot of the wind. I've got a bunch of trees. I have another garage. So I'm a little protected. Obviously not from the rain coming straight down, but it's loud. But yeah. All right. So yeah, if you can join tomorrow, it'd be awesome. You're definitely welcome. I'll send you the link, and we'll go from there. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. I'm just gonna just get wet when I get out of this place, but doesn't leak in here, so that's good. All right. Well, hopefully you stay safe. Yeah. Keep yourself. Watch out. Hopefully no bad storms coming through your area. And Jayon, thanks again for being here. Really appreciate it. Have an awesome night. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Yep. Good luck on that job tomorrow. I want to hear about it. All right. Take care. They took your $15,000 bid and paid some clown $11,000 to build it. You're not losing jobs. You're bankrolling your competition. Next time that they ask for a quote, you look them dead in the eye and you say this: "We don't send blank quotes. We start with a $250 paid planning session. It locks in your design, and we're all on the same page. They say yes, you're hired at full price. They say no, you just saved yourself 6 hours and dodged the cheapskate. Comment the worst lowball bid theft you've ever had. I read everything. And be sure to follow for the script that fires those bad clients fast. They took your $15,000 bid and paid some clown $11,000 to build it. You're not losing jobs. You're bankrolling your competition. Next time that they ask for a quote, you look them dead in the eye and you say this: "We don't send blank quotes. We start with a $250 paid planning session. It locks in your design, and we're all on the same page. They say yes, you're hired at full price. They say no, you just saved yourself 6 hours and dodged the cheapskate. Comment the worst lowball bid theft you've ever had. I read everything. And be sure to follow for the script that fires those bad clients fast. They took your $15,000 bid and paid some clown $11,000 to build it. You're not losing jobs. You're bankrolling your competition. Next time that they ask for a quote, you look them dead in the eye and you say this: "We don't send blank quotes. We start with a $250 paid planning session. It locks in your design, and we're all on the same page. They say yes, you're hired at full price. They say no, you just saved yourself 6 hours. Not just a cheapskate. Comment the worst lowball bid theft you've ever had. I read everything. And be sure to follow me.
This right here is the most important area.
What are the top words to not say?
Have you ever noticed that the bad guy in movies is always impeccably well dressed?
I found an AI tool that will make your business a lot more money. It's called Jiva AI, and it's kind of insane. It helped this company make an extra 1.2 million.
You wanna know why? So many contractors fail. There's so many people going to business. Like, oh, this shit's hard. I want to go back to work for somebody. Let me show you. It's because they have zero concept of what it actually means to like run and scale a business. They can come in and do good trades work and they work with their hands, but what they end up doing is they just own a job, brother. You're not building a business. You're not building a company. All you're doing is going to work for yourself. Might as well go get some benefits with. And one of the easiest ways to see this is if a company has systems built out or if they do not. So I'm just going to walk you through a few that I have. And look, every time that we have something on the schedule, like a home inspection, and one of my sales reps goes there, they log into Company Cam, take pictures, and they automatically get re-uploaded back to the customer account. Look at the data that we are accruing here, brother. We can see that this month we had a 64% close rate. Clock that in, brother. You're not doing this. Okay, you can see how many quotes we said.
The room looks like this.
Usually when the cartel says, if you are a professional services company,
You can get anything you want in life if you know how to. Get anything you want.
yeah, this right here. What's out the water, baby mama? Baby mama. Yeah, go like this. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.